What's good, YouTube? This your boy Money Mitch TV coming to you straight off the hip. Finally, we have made it after 9 months of waiting from the first day of the regular NBA season all the way to now. The finals, the trilogy. Cleveland Cavaliers versus the Golden State Warriors, part 3 of this magnificent matchup that's about to happen in about a few days from now. It's like one of the biggest collision courses that's about to happen. It's about to, two giants. It's about to come and collide and duke it out for 7 games. And, this is very exciting. The first 3 rounds of the playoffs were very boring. The only exciting thing that happened in the playoffs was Cleveland losing that one game. Which Cleveland played horrible defense. LeBron James was very passive. That ultimately had Cleveland lose that game. But overall, I kept telling people Cleveland's going to either win it in 5 games. But nevertheless, and also on the Western Conference side, the Warriors pretty much just swept through the first 3 rounds. I knew that was kind of going to happen. I thought the Spurs was going to challenge them, but when Kawhi Leonard went down on that ankle injury, which people forgot, he sprained that ankle twice in that one game, and he also sprained his ankle on the round he played against Houston. So he sprained his ankle 3 times in a matter of 2 weeks, which, that's kind of unfortunate. And if you played sports, you know how it feels to sprain your ankle multiple times. It's hurt. It hurts like crap. It's hurt real bad. But nevertheless, we're finally made it. Also, I got some other NBA news. I'm gonna share some NBA news first, and then I'm gonna give you my prediction on who is gonna win the finals this year. And we're going to get into that in a few minutes. First things first, I've been reading a whole lot of rumors about, LeVar Ball, Lonzo Ball. Also stuff about the Warriors. Stuff about Boston Celtics. And other stuff that, that been happening around the league. Let's start off with, the teams that's not in the playoffs. First things first, the LA Lakers. Everybody know they have won the lottery by taking the second pick. It's pretty much as a win-win for the Lakers. They're considering taking Lonzo Ball, but at the same time, they're looking for other options. And the reason why the Lakers are looking for other options is because the Lakers is at the number 2 spot in the draft. The Boston Celtics is in the number 1 spot. They have the very first pick. So, and I talked to several friends, and I have told them this. Boston have a lot of options. They could trade the number 1 pick for an all-star. They can keep the number 1 pick, pick up Markelle Fultz, and build him up, then trade him for an all-star. Or they could just go ahead and just keep the number 1 pick and trade Isaiah Thomas by doing a sign-and trade. Yes, and I feel like that might happen with Boston. But here's the question. What if Boston do the ultimate troll job? The most hateful thing Boston can do to the Lakers is if Boston pick up Lonzo Ball. If that happens, that's gonna set the NBA world on fire. Think about it. Boston pick up Lonzo Ball. LeVar Ball is gonna go crazy. He's gonna be mad. He's gonna try to force a trade to happen on draft night. But here's what I think that might happen. Boston might troll LA and pick up Lonzo Ball. And then will call LA and say, if you want him, you will have to give me an asset for him. And I think Magic Johnson is desperate enough to do that if that happened. I don't see Magic Johnson giving up D'Angelo Russell because Boston might not want him. Because D'Angelo Russell is pretty much the same as Markelle Fultz, a scoring point guard. I can see Boston saying, give me Brandon Ingram if you want Lonzo Ball. Or give me Swaggy P, Brandon Ingram, and Julius Randle if you want Lonzo Ball. And I won't be surprised if Magic gets desperate and do it. So that's one thing you got to be aware of. Also, with the Lakers, the Lakers are in good position, but they have to pray that Boston don't troll them and pick Lonzo Ball. Because if Boston does, then the Lakers will have to be forced to pick Markelle Fultz. And also, like in other articles I read, Magic Johnson has interviewed Markelle Fultz. And he seems that Markelle Fultz is a good young man. But at the same time, Magic is leaning towards Lonzo Ball. Because think about it. You have a 6'6" point guard that can shoot and pass. He has great court vision. He can make other teammates better. And his comparison to me is a Jason Kidd. And I'm going to say this about Lonzo Ball. Lonzo Ball's floor potential is Michael Carter Williams, and his ceiling potential is Jason Kidd. And that's how I see Lonzo Ball. Markelle Fultz, if it comes to me to compare Markelle Fultz, his floor potential is Monte Ellis. His ceiling potential, to me, it could be somewhat like James Harden, a point guard version of James Harden. That's how I could see Markelle Fultz. But it makes more sense for the Lakers to pick Lonzo Ball. But if Boston does, that also makes sense for Boston, because Boston needs a point guard that know how to distribute the ball. And also, Boston is thinking about getting rid of Isaiah Thomas. So, since they lost in the playoffs, they're thinking about getting rid of him. Remember, Danny Ainge tried to trade him last year before the deadline, and he couldn't get enough assets to get him. So, he had to cancel that trade and kind of play it out for the next season. Now, this season, the Celtics had to pay Isaiah Thomas because he made the All-NBA team due to the new bargain agreement that happened like a couple years ago. You have to give those players a supermax if they made the All-NBA team, if they had been in the league for a certain amount of years. And Isaiah Thomas been in the league for maybe more than 5 years so far. And it's time for him to get that super max. So it's crazy. A lot of stuff is going on. Also, yes, San Antonio is thinking about signing Chris Paul. And I think this is going to be great. Chris Paul going to San Antonio will be perfect. It will make San Antonio a threat in the West. I feel like it's time for Chris Paul to move on from the Clippers, because Doc Rivers is a horrible GM. I'm saying a horrible GM. He's a great coach, a championship coach. He amazed me as a coach, but when it comes to his GM skills, he's horrible. He don't know how to build a team. For 3 years, the Clippers been lacking a small forward, a scoring small forward. And every time they play a team in the play and they get put out, it's always a team with a good small forward. And and it's making, the Clippers not a championship contended team. First you pick up Paul Pierce at the end of his career, then you sign other players before Paul Pierce, and that still didn't work out. I think it's time for Doc Rivers to really just blow it up. If I'm Doc Rivers, and if I know San Antonio wants Chris Paul, I will do a sign and trade. I will give up Chris Paul for draft picks. And knowing Greg Popovich, he don't mind giving up draft picks. And also, if I'm also Doc Rivers, I will give up Blake too. I will sign and trade Blake and rebuild the team. And maybe a year from now, I will give up DeAndre Jordan also and just rebuild the team. And I feel like the era for Lob City is coming to an end this offseason. And I think the best thing for Doc Rivers is to just blow it up. I feel like it's time to blow it up, because if Chris Paul leaves the Clippers, that's the ultimate sign of saying just blow it up. Blow the whole thing up, get many draft picks you can, and start all over. And I think that would be the best thing for Doc Rivers. Also, for my Bucks fans, everybody know I'm originally from Milwaukee. I am a lifelong Milwaukee Bucks fan. The Milwaukee Bucks GM, John Hammons, have left the Milwaukee Bucks, and he has signed a contract with the Orlando Magic to be the GM there. Right now, the Bucks, the option they have of somebody is the current assistant GM for the Milwaukee Bucks. I forgot his name. They're planning to promote him to make him the GM to fill in for John Hammonds. And so far with John Hammond, I feel like he has been a decent GM. For the past 9 years he's been a GM. His draft record is 6-3. He made 6 good picks and 3 bad picks. And the pick that irked me the most, I think it's the 2009, 2010 draft, one of those drafts where he was going to pick Klay Thompson and he picked someone else, and it irks the crap out of me. But nevertheless, he kind of made it up by picking Giannis, then picking Jabari, then picking up Thon Maker. Now the Bucks is a potential championship team. All they need is another all-star, a better point guard, and they will be right there with Cleveland in the next 2 years. So watch out for the Bucks. And here's the thing, I've been riding with the Bucks since the Vin Baker, Glenn Robinson days. And that's a long time. That's how long I've been riding with the Milwaukee Bucks. I'm talking about Glenn Robinson straight out of Purdue his rookie year with Vin Baker. And then they pick up Ray Allen. The original big three for the Bucks was Vin Baker, Glenn Robinson, and Ray Allen. Then they traded away Vin Baker because his struggle with alcohol, and they came in and got Sam Cassell. Then the new big three was Glenn Robinson, Ray Allen, and Sam Cassell, which that team led the Bucks to the Eastern Conference playoffs that year. I think it was like in 2001, and they got put out by the Sixers, and the Sixers went ahead and played the Lakers in the finals and got beat in 5 games. But hey, it is what it is. Also, some other news in the NBA. Man, with the Warriors, yes. I noticed this with the Warriors. The Warriors have a 2-year window to win championships. And here's the reason why I'm going to say this. I looked at the Warriors salary cap. And the Warriors, they don't have a lot of money. And they don't have a lot of time. The reason why they signed Kevin Durant to maximize their championship potential. And remember, the Warriors trying to offer Kevin Durant an extension, and that didn't work out. Kevin Durant turned down the extension. And then the Warriors also, just like I think a day ago, they tried to offer Klay Thompson an extension, and he turned that down. And if you look at the big picture, the Warriors don't have enough time. They have a 2 to 3 year window to win championships. If they win this year, then they can win next year, and after that, that's pretty much it for them. Then they're going to go from a championship team to a good playoff team. They're not going to drop off from a championship team to a lottery team. They're going to be going from a championship team to a good playoff team. And if you think about it, the Warriors don't have a lot of money to sign KD, Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, and then turn around and re-sign Draymond in 4 years. They don't have a lot of money. If you look at the salary caps in the next few years, think about it. Kevin Durant has a player option next year. He could opt right back in and make $27 million. That's why he turned down an extension. I think he looked at the big picture that the window of championships is slim. Klay Thompson also has a window of 2 years, and in 2018-2019 season, after that season, he will be due for a supermax contract or some type of max contract. Steph Curry, right now, Steph Curry is at the last year of his contract. Remember, Steph Curry had that low ball deal because of the knee and the ankle injuries he has suffered earlier in his career. And then once he, fought through those injuries, he have improved, became all-star Steph Curry. That was the evolution from Steph Curry to Chef Curry. So, and now, Steph Curry is at the last year of his, 4-year, $48 million deal he had signed a few years back. And also, the Warriors, they know they're due to pay Steph. Steph is owed $200 million. Steph can make up to $210 million. The Warriors owe him that money. And the reason why I'm going to say that, because Steph brought them a championship, and you have to pay him. And I know a lot of people told me Steph is too humble, he's going to take less money. But you got to remember, Steph has an agent, and his agent is going to negotiate the best deal for his client. So if Steph really wanted to win, yeah, he'll take less money. But Steph is owed $200 million. I feel like Steph deserves $200 million. But if Steph is about winning, I won't be surprised he takes a pay cut and take $30 million. Because remember, a $200 million contract is $40 million a year, pretty much. So Steph deserves a contract. I want Steph to get his money. I want him to get paid at least $30 million. That's at least I want to get paid. But at the same time, I feel Steph might take a pay cut if he want to keep winning championships. I don't want Steph taking 20. I want Steph to take 25 or 28. He need to be paid more than Durant because he brought that team a championship before KD got onto the Warriors. And also, if you think about it, the Warriors was projected to win this year's finals before KD signed with the Warriors on 4th of July this past summer. So, to each his own. So, it is what it is, but that's what I see. And also on the Cleveland side, Cleveland has a short window winning championships also. They have maybe a shorter window. I think Cleveland has a 2-year window, maybe a 1-year window, depending how this playoffs comes out. If Cleveland win this year, this finals will put LeBron at the greatest playoff performer ever, or the greatest finals ever for LeBron. Remember, Michael Jordan never beat a super team. The reason why Michael Jordan was 6 for 6 in the playoffs, because every Western Conference team he beat was a weak Western Conference team. Let's start to think about it. First championship, he played Magic at the end of his career. Magic and Worthy was at the end of their careers. Kareem was already retired. But of course, the Lakers had budding superstars as Vlade Divac, Byron Scott at that time, Michael Cooper, Milt Wagner, all of those boys. They had those great role players at that time. And then the next championship, when they played the Blazers, that's when Clyde Drexler was actually in his prime. Clyde was in his prime. I think that was the only team, that Mike gave the Bulls some challenge. Maybe Utah gave them some challenge. But then the next year, the Suns was now the 93 Suns. That was a very stacked team. If you actually looked at it, Charles Barkley, Kevin Johnson, Tom Chambers, Dan Marley. That was a stacked team, that 93 team. Then, that fourth championship he got when he played against Seattle. Seattle was a good team, but that team was, which was a George Karl team, one of those running guns type teams with Gary Payton and Shawn Kemp. And that was the last year before Shawn Kemp fell off the face of the earth after that year. That was before that year. Shawn Kemp was amazing. Then after that championship loss, he just fell off afterwards. But yeah. But if you look at the teams that Jordan beat were not that very good teams. They were very good playoff teams, and they managed to skate through the West. But the East was very tough, and I could truly say that the Eastern Conference teams was tough. Think about it. The Knicks in the 90s, the Pacers in the 90s. Then you had the Washington Wizards with Chris Webber and Juwan Howard. And then Rod Strickland, that was also on that team with Washington. Then you had like the Hawks in the 90s with Mutombo and Mookie Blaylock and Dominique Wilkins at that time. Then turn around, you had the old Miami Heat team with Tim Hardaway, Alonzo Mourning, and then later down the line, Anthony Mason joined that team after the Knicks after the stint he had with the Knicks. Then you had that good Charlotte team way back in the early 90s with Larry Johnson and Alonzo Mourning, Muggsy Bogues, Kendall Gill. That was a deep team too. So a lot of teams Jordan had fought through in the East were hard teams, were very tough teams. But when he went after he got beat up and he went to the finals, the teams he faced in the finals from the West were weak teams. But I could truly say this: every team from that Western Conference had one Hall of Famer. Clyde Drexler, Hall of Famer. Magic Johnson, James Worthy, 2 Hall of Famers. Gary Payton, Hall of Famer. Karl Malone, John Stockton, Hall of Famers. Each team played, I think that's fair, but Michael Jordan still considered a GOAT. No matter what, he won 6 in a row, but that's one thing. But the reason why I'm saying that, because everybody hates LeBron, but I don't. I like LeBron. LeBron is one of the greatest players ever, but he's not there yet. He has to beat this year Warriors team to be on the Jordan level. But yeah, anyway. But yeah. Like, comment, and subscribe. Tell me what you think about this year's NBA Finals. Tell me who's gonna win or who's gonna lose in the finals. My prediction in the finals, I think this: if the Cavs win, it's in 7 games. If the Warriors win, it's in 6 games. That's what I think. I'm not rooting for no teams. I just want to enjoy great basketball. But yeah, this your boy Money Mitch TV, and I'm out.